Good morning. This is Mike Ansay. We're speaking with Brett, who was an owner of the Brookside Agency in Michigan and was merged with our organization, I think, what was it, last year, correct? When we put it together?
Right. We actually signed in February of this year of 24.
So Brett, why Ansay? What was it that motivated you to consider our organization?
Well, when I was in the process of getting ready to venture myself into the retirement world, and one of the biggest concerns in my agency was the welfare of my staff. They've been committed to me in the agency for long term, and I was very adamant that whatever route I took in the future that made me less involved with the agency, it had to be sure that my staff was well cared for and well respected. And I found that with the Ansay family, it was an organization that was run on very similar principles to what I ran this office as just an individual. So knowing that my staff would be respected and cared for and heard from a larger organization was probably one of the most critical things for me.
Yeah, and I think our core values, the fact that we're family owned, I think those are the things you identified, because we really believe in community. You know, my father was about community, you're about community, and it's a lot about your people. Great community you're in, the support of that, and your brand name is critical. So now that the merger has occurred, how do you feel about it in life after the deal?
It's nice to know that something that you kind of dream for actually comes to fruition. So to see that the people, like my staff, that they're able to connect with people at the company level on an easy basis, that they're heard and their ideas are valued, that their work flow and their work environment is important to them. That's also important to the people at Ansay. Just makes the transition a whole lot easier. I rest better knowing that any cares or concerns that they have here at the agency can be taken to individuals in the Ansay organization and get solved and rectified in a short term, and that the business of doing insurance can just move on as it should with customer to agency relationships.
Well, yeah, and that's critical because they have the relationships we don't. We don't live in the community, they do. So they're a very important part of your team that built your success, and now we're going to support them as with your vision to continue to give them growth opportunities, educational, and then of course compensation and different things that give them security for themselves and their family. That's really what this is. It's a family organization. Well, talk a little bit about how you became a pillar of an acquisition for us. Can you talk a little bit about what happened after we struck the deal and became public?
Basically, Mike, that's simply being honest with the people who call me and ask me about my experience. And as you know, and as I know, insurance in general is nothing but trust. It's a trust relationship between myself and my clients, myself and the companies. So I'm trusting you as the parent organization, you're trusting me as an outreach member. And as long as that trust is built on honesty, I'm comfortable sharing that with anybody who calls me. And that's kind of how that whole thing started.
Yeah, you were strategic for the next acquisition because the gentleman had called you and asked how it went. And because of that, he then engaged us on that, and we were successful in that. So thank you for being who you are. That's what we expect. We expect people to be transparent, honest, and trustworthy, because those are the core values of my father, and we carry them on today in the firm. So I appreciate that. So I appreciate what you do, and again, you shared with me some of your passions and the work you do in the Snowmobile Association area and different things, and your grandchildren now. And so you work very hard your whole life, and now you get the blessing of that, and we just appreciate everything that you've done for us, and we'll continue to be partners in whatever way it makes sense for you and your family.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Mike. I really appreciate that.
You bet. And so with that, remember, it's always a great day to sell insurance. Thanks.
You bet.